The sharpest knife is hidden behind a smile. And when you're a teenager, searching desperately for connection, you don't always see it coming. I used to think I could recognize danger. I thought I knew who the bullies were. They were loud, obvious, easy to spot in a crowd. They were the ones who shoved people in the hallways, who laughed the loudest at someone's mistakes, who made it clear they want to tear you down. But then came them, the one who didn't look like enemy, the one who smiled when I walked into the room, who waved me over when I stood alone, who seemed to know just the right words to make me feel included. When you are lonely, that kind of attention feels like sunlight after months of rain. You don't question it, you soak it in. You believe, maybe for the first time in a long time, that you matter. And for a while, I let myself believe. We did laugh together at lunch, walk home after school, even text late into the night about little things that only we seem to get. I trust them with my stories, my insecurities, the cracks in me that I never show to anyone else. That trust was my mistake, because not all smiles are safe, not all laughter is genuine, and not every person who calls you a friend actually mean it. At first, the signs were small, so small that I brushed them aside, the way they did sometimes repeat something I told them in confidence, turning it into a joke in front of others, the way they did roll their eyes at me when I wasn't looking, but laugh with me when I turned back, the way the kindness seemed to come in wave, warm one moment, cold the next. I convinced myself I was imagining it, that maybe they was joking, that maybe I was too sensitive. Because when you finally think you have found a friend, the last thing you want to believe is that they could be hurting you. But here's the truth, a fake friend is more dangerous than a bully who show their teeth, because a bully who threatens you give you something solid to fight again. You know where they stand, you know what they want, but a fake friend hide behind closeness. They take your trust and turn it into a weapon. They study your weakness, not to protect them, but to exploit them when it serves their purpose. And the cruelest part, you don't even realize it's happening until the damage has already been done. I remember one moment that still burns in my chest. We were sitting in the cafeteria, surrounded by people that told a story about me, one I had shared in confidence, late at night when I was vulnerable and unguarded. But now it was entertainment. They stretch it, twist it, exaggerate the part that made me look ridiculous. Everyone laughed, and I sat there, frozen, trying to smile along, but feeling like the ground beneath me had collapsed. It wasn't just the humiliation, it was the betrayal, the realization that someone I thought was my safe place had just pulled the rug out from under me. And the worst part, they lean over, smile, whisper, "Don't take it so seriously, I'm just joking." That's how fake friends operate. They hide cruelty inside humor. They frame betrayal as just playing around. And if you speak up, they make you feel like the problem. That's how manipulation begins. Looking back, I see it so clearly. But at the time, I couldn't, because when you are desperate for connection, you cling to it even when it hurts you. And here's something people don't often talk about. Sometimes the people who bully us the hardest aren't strangers in hollow way. Sometimes there are people sitting right beside us, calling themselves our friend. When you realize this truth, it shakes you. It makes you question not just them, but yourself. How did I not see it sooner? What did I let them so close? Was I really that easy to fool? And that's where the damage deepens. Because the bully may have started the wound, but it's your own self-doubt that keep it bleeding. Fake friendship is one of the cruelest forms of bullying because it makes you doubt your ability to trust not just others but yourself. At first, manipulation feel like confusion. They lift you up one day and tear you down the next day. They praise you in private, they mock you in public, they share secrets with you, making you feel special, only to later weaponize your secret against you. A constant guessing game. Do they actually like me? Or am I just the punchline today? And that's how they keep control. Because while you are busy questioning yourself, you are not questioning them. I remember the subtle ways it would play out. They did make a cruel joke at my expense, but the moment I pull away, they did reel me back with kindness. You know, I didn't mean it. You are my best friend. And suddenly, I'd feel guilty for even doubting them. That's the genius of manipulation. They blur the line between friend and enemy until you are too exhausted to tell the difference. What makes manipulation so dangerous is that it attacks your sense of reality. When someone consistently twists your feelings, your memories, and your experiences, you start to question your own perception. It's called gaslighting. When someone makes you doubt the truth of what you saw, what you felt, what you know deep down is real. And gaslighting in a friendship is one of the cruelest forms of bullying because it doesn't just break your trust in them, it breaks your trust in yourself. Think about this. When someone you call a friend tells you you are too sensitive every time you express hurt, when they say you are imagining things every time you notice their betrayal, when they miss your feeling as just a joke, what they are really doing is training you to silence yourself. They are teaching you to bury your own instinct. They are making you believe that your pain isn't valid. And once you stop trusting yourself, you become easier to control. Here's the part that hurts to admit. I let it happen, not because I wanted to, not because I was weak, but because I wanted so badly to hold on to the version of them I thought was real. The kind, funny, supportive friend. I clung to those good moments like proof that the bad ones weren't really that bad. But manipulation feeds on that hope. It gives you just enough kindness to keep you from walking away, and just enough cruelty to keep you doubting yourself. And when you're stuck in that cycle long enough, it changed you. I started apologizing for things that weren't my fault. I started shrinking myself so I wouldn't trigger their moods. I started laughing at jokes that cut me deeply, just so I wouldn't look sensitive. Do you know what does to a person? It arrests them. And maybe that's the bully goals all along. Not just to hurt you once, but to slowly chip away at who you are until no one longer recognize yourself. But let's zoom out for a second, because manipulation in fake friendship isn't just about one person. It's about a bigger truth. A manipulative bully thrives in silence. They thrives because nobody talk about it. When we think about bullying, we picture fists, insult, or online harassment. But nobody warns us about the ones who smile at us while they destroy us from the inside out. Nobody tell us that sometimes the most dangerous bully is the one who calls you best friend. And here's the thing, teen fall into this trap all the time. Why? Because the loneliness is powerful. Because when you are young, the thought of not having friend feels like scary than the thought of having a toxic one. So you stay, you excuse, you rationalize, and before you know it, you are not just being manipulated, you are manipulating yourself into believing you deserve it. But you don't. You never did. And if you ever been there, if you ever had that friend who left you questioning your worth, know this. It wasn't your fault. Because manipulators are skilled. They know what they are doing. And they know exactly who to target. The ones who care. The ones who forgive. The one who gives change after change. If that's you, it doesn't mean you are weak. It means you have something they don't. Empathy. And that's not something to be ashamed of. The truth about manipulation is it's not about friendship. It's about control. It's about power. And it's about a bully who doesn't want to look like a bully. So they disguise themselves as your closest ally. A wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf. And the only way to escape that cycle is to start trusting your instinct again, to listen when something feels wrong, instead of silencing yourself, to recognize that being alone is better than being manipulated, because manipulation isn't just cruelty, it's theft. It steals your trust, your joy, your self-worth. Once you recognize it, you can take it back. The first kind of damage is self-doubt. When someone spends months or years making you feel like your feelings are too much, you start believing them. I caught myself apologizing for things that weren't even wrong. I felt guilty for existing. Think about that. A friendship that was supposed to make me stronger had turned me into someone smaller, quieter, weaker. It wasn't just their voice in my head anymore, it was mine. That's what emotional damage does. It rewires the way you think about yourself. Every time I want to trust someone new, I hesitate. Every time I felt hurt, I second guess it. Every time I open my mouth to speak up, I wonder, am I overreacting? Am I imagining this? And slowly I realized I was carrying their voice inside me. The bully didn't even need to be around anymore. I was bullying myself. The second kind of damage is isolation. Because once you have been betrayed by a friend, you don't just lose them, you lost trust in everyone. I remember sitting a group of people, laughing and talking, and still feeling completely alone. Because in the back of my mind was the question, what if they are all pretending to? What if the moment I leave, I'm just the joke at the table again? That fears doesn't go away quickly. It makes you cautious. It makes you hold back your trust self. And here's the tragedy. You end up protecting yourself from the very thing you need most. Real connection. The third kind of damage is shame. Shame for not seeing it sooner. Shame for letting it happen. Shame for caring so much about someone who clearly didn't care about you. It's one thing to admit that you were bullied. It's another to admit that you let that person close enough to know your secret, that your trust the wrong hand, that you mistook a weapon for a lifeline. Shame is a way of silencing you. I didn't tell people about this fake friendship for a long time because I didn't want to look foolish. I didn't want them to think I was weak. I thought if I admit what happened, everyone will laugh just like they did. That silence is another wound because the less you talk about it, the more it eats away inside you. But the deepest wound of all, losing trust in yourself. When someone manipulates you, betrays you, and breaks your confidence, the hardest part to repair isn't your trust in others, it's your trust in your own judgment. I couldn't tell if my instincts were right anymore. Was I paranoid or finally aware? Were people genuinely being kind to me, or was I just waiting for the mask to slip? And that's the cruelest damage of all, because if you can't trust yourself, how do you move forward? Let me pause here, because maybe you've been there. Maybe you have a friend who wasn't really a friend, someone who made you feel small, someone who twists your kindness into weakness, someone who left you carrying scars long after they were gone. If you have, you know this truth. Emotional damage doesn't just harm your past, it shapes your future. It shows up in your friendship, in a relationship, in the way you talk to yourself when you're alone. It shows up in the fear that history will repeat itself. And if you ever caught yourself thinking, I can't let anyone in again, then you have felt the long shadow of that damage. But here's what I want you to know. Emotional scars are not proof of weakness. They are proof of survival. Yes, that fake friend hurt me. Yes, they left me doubting myself. But the fact I'm here, telling this story means I lived through it. And if you are listening, nodding, maybe remembering your own friend who wasn't really a friend, you lived through it too. That's resilience, even if you don't feel strong right now, even if the damage still whisper in your head. The very fact that you are aware of it means you are already taken the first step toward healing. Because healing starts with awareness. It starts with saying out loud, that wasn't friendship, that was manipulation, that was bullying. When you name it, you take away some of its power. When you stop blaming yourself, you start giving that blame back to where it belongs. And when you start trusting your own feelings again, even in small ways, you begin to rebuild what manipulation tried to steal. The truth is, Emotional damage from a fake friend doesn't just vanish. You don't get over it. It a neat little way. It lingers. It takes times. And honestly, sometimes it leaves a mark that never fully goes away. But maybe that's okay. Because scars don't just remind us of pain. They remind us of what we survived. The scar on my trust reminds me to be cautious. The scars of my confidence reminds me that I deserve better. The scar of my loneliness reminds me that being alone is safer than being surrounded by people who pretend to care. And maybe that's the lesson hidden inside the damage. That even broken trust can be rebuilt. That even when someone's smile cut me the deepest, I can still choose to heal, to trust again, this time with eyes wide open. Betrayal didn't hit me all at once. It was like a slow crack spreading across glass. Quiet, almost invisible at first, and then suddenly the whole thing shatters. The day I realized this friend was nothing more than a bully in disguise. It wasn't because of one big event. It was the accumulation of little moments. The way my secret became rumors. The way my laughter was used as a bait of mockery. The way my trust was slowly weaponized against me. But the breaking point came when I walked into school and everyone already knew something I had only whispered to him that night before. It wasn't a funny story. It wasn't light-hearted. It was something private, something that had taken me courage to share. And yet, there it was, spilled into the hallways, twisted and exaggerated until it barely resembled the truth. That's when I felt it, the knife behind the smile, the same smile that had once made me feel safe now looked cruel, sharp, and cold. He wasn't just laughing at me, he was proud of what he had done. That kind of betrayal doesn't just sting, it leaves you hollow. I want to scream, I want to demand why. Why pretend to be my friend just to hurt me? Why invest so much time in me just to tear me apart piece by piece? The questions circle endlessly, but the answers never came. Because people like that, they don't need a reason. Sometimes cruelty is reason enough. And yet, as painful as it was, betrayal also forced me to see something I hadn't before. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about surviving it. In that silence, after the rumors had spread, after the laughter had died down, I found myself alone again. But this time, it was a different kind of alone. It wasn't the loneliness of being tricked or manipulated, it was the stillness of truth. The truth that not everyone who smiles at you deserves your trust, and not everyone who calls themselves a friend truly is one. I began to realize that resilience isn't loud. It doesn't always mean standing up in the middle of the hallway and shouting back. Sometimes it's quieter. It's choosing not to let betrayal rewrite your story. It's refusing to let one cruel person define how you see yourself or how you approach the world. Yes, I was broken for a while. Yes, the betrayal scared me, but over time, those scars became reminders, not of the pain, but of the strength it took to heal. I learned to stop giving all myself to people who hadn't earned it. I learned that trust isn't about walls, but about gates, about choosing carefully who get to enter and who doesn't. I learned that resilience isn't about being unhurt, it's about being unshaken. And maybe the greatest resilience of all is this: still being able to believe in kindness even after cruelty, still being able to trust even after betrayal. Because the truth is, not everyone is like him. Not everyone smiles with a knife behind their back. Some people smile because they mean it. Some people want nothing from you except your company, your laughter, your presence. That's how I hold on to now. That's where my energy goes. The betrayal taught me that not every smile is safe, but resilience taught me that not every smile is dangerous either. And maybe that's the stitch I leave you with. Betrayal might break you, but resilience is what teach you how to rebuild. And in that rebuilding, you find a version of yourself that is sharper, wiser, and unshakably strong. Take care.